All right. Welcome to another Run Wild with Us Ask Us Anything. I'm Lisa Kastner. I am the founder and executive editor of Running Wild and Rise Presses. And I am here with you and some of our fellow editors on Thursdays between 5 and 6 p.m. Pacific time, 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern time. And we're here to answer any questions that you may have. It can be about publishing, writing, um, why do we do this? I don't care. Whatever you want, feel free. So right now it looks like it's just me, although I'm pretty sure we should get Rod Gilly. I believe we might get Peter, and we should get Ben as well. So it should be a pretty full house, which is super fun. It's so much more fun when there's like a bunch of us. In the meantime, as they all join, just a quick reminder. So how this works is you toss your questions into the comments section, and we will then respond. So Rod just sent me a note saying his uh, link is dead, which I got Ben, and they have the same link, so I'm not sure what's wrong. So I am going to multitask while Ben says hi and tells us how he got his sunburn and freckles.
It's heating up. It must be springtime in New Mexico.
It must be springtime. Springtime. Did you do your standard go for a swim this morning or not?
No, the pool's
No.
been closed forever.
Oh, well,
You're
that's no
mad
fun.
now.
Well, I did my standard walk this morning,
Oh, good.
so yeah,
Down to Starbucks and back.
pretty much. Yep.
Well, that's
I
a walk. That counts.
I mean,
That
yeah,
counts.
I extend it so that it's more like 3 miles instead of like a mile, but yeah. So, and my hip and my knee arthritis are reminding me why I take tons of vitamins and why I work out. And why I don't do things like Spartan races anymore. So, ha,
All good things come to an end.
huh?
All good things come to an end.
All good things come to an end. Although I've got plenty of like medals and stuff from different races and all that. But anyway, Brittany says, "Hi, I am also backstage on StreamYard. If you get lonely, Brittany, you just came on board, my love. So soon. So Brittany is actually one of our new editors, and she is currently
Oh, nice.
working on a new work. So, um, when you're done and we've got that baby in the can, Brittany, be careful of what you wish for, my love, because your tushy may very well be among us here. So just a forewarning." Brittany says, "Hey Ben, I am jealous of your sunburn. No sun in New York this week.
Yeah.
I am a natural redhead, as if you can tell, and I am not jealous of your sunburn because it sucks."
Yeah, well, it got up to like 75 today, but it's gonna be
That's
back down to 50 on Saturday, so I had to get outside today.
75 is sunburn worthy?
Well, there's no humidity blocking it.
Oh,
It's
got
it's
it.
dry. It's high and dry.
Okay, I get it. Yeah, I am another redheaded friend. I went to visit her in Santa Barbara, and she had just been sitting on her front porch like waiting for me, and she lived all of like 4 blocks from the ocean. She took off her sunglasses, and it was like the kind of sunburn where you knew it was going to fade, but I was like, "Oh man." And similarly, it was just very sunny, but no humidity, and
Yeah.
maybe high 60s, something like that. So, yeah. Margaret
Well,
says, "Hey, gang."
I'm
Sorry, go
a
ahead.
I'm a carrier of red hair. You can't tell it.
I was going to say, as if
I'm
we
a
couldn't
carrier.
tell. Your skin tone, though, is sort of a giveaway.
Yeah.
Not that everybody who's that Pale is a carrier, but Rod says it says I'm backstage. Hun, I don't know. I sent you the same link that Ben and I used, and we got in no problem. You may want to reboot your computer, see if that helps, because I don't know. We don't see you at all. Yeah, yeah, I don't know what it is. I'll tell you what. I'll try one more time, and then after that, you may want to check on your laptop, because I don't know what's wrong.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Make sure it's the right date.
Huh?
Make sure it's the right date.
Oh yeah, that's true. I just tried something else. I have a way that I can send a link directly from our dashboard thingy. So I just tried that. So maybe that'll work. But anyway. So did you see that Amy's novel got a starred Kirkus review?
Yes.
Oh my God, that was, and the whole review is just glowing. So if anybody hasn't checked it out, you need to check out Pocket Full of Teeth. It actually comes out in September. Now I'm looking for the review. It's so funny because I remember, and by the way, Amy is also one of our editors as well, and she had sent us a whole bunch of stuff to consider to publish. And one, we accepted Pocket Full of Teeth. We rejected another one, and I got the pleasure to be the chosen one to act as their editor. And we all fell in love with their writing when we first read it. But we all had a lot of questions around like structure and, what's the intent of this and all this kind of thing. So I said, you know what, I'd love to do it. I'd love to be the editor. So the poor thing, if anyone's experienced my editing style, I'm going to ask you a bajillion questions person, which is usually why I won't have our first interaction be on like a Zoom. Like I'll go ahead and I'll send you all the notes and ask you to go over the notes. And if you want to have a Zoom, we can have it, because when you get my notes, you may feel a little overwhelmed, admittedly, not for line edits, but because I'm going to ask you questions about your story and your structure and your characters. And poor Ben's been through this with me. So that you're going to go, what the fuck? Why is she bothering me? Just accept what I'm doing. Which usually, if that's your answer, that means you don't know the answer either. So,
Oh.
And it means you got to figure it out. And so that's what happened with Amy, and she'll tell you all about it. She actually talks about it in her acknowledgement section of Pocket Full of Teeth. But I asked her, well, your character's obviously talking to somebody. Who are they talking to? And what's the whole intent of this? And that just changed. I mean, it just opened up this story incredibly. And we just had a blast editing it together. So Bernie says, what's the best way to purchase Running Wild books? By that, I mean to ensure that Running Wild and the author receives the most money and benefit. Brittany, oh my gosh, that is an amazing question. I would say for paperback, you want to go to bookshop.org, and we actually have our own, shop on Bookshop. So I'm looking that up for you now. Of course, now I get the hiccups. Woo! I haven't figured out a better way to get ebooks than through Amazon. So if someone else has a suggestion, I'm totally open to it. I just popped a link to our shop on bookshop.org in the chat. And then we actually now do audiobooks instead of looking for audiobook companies to license to us. So for audiobooks, where you want to go is we use Audible. So we self-produce books on Audible. audiobooks on Audible. So those are your 3 places: ebook, Amazon, and someone. I'd love it if you knew of a better place. Paperback is bookshop.org, and Audible is it for our audio. So so other than me blathering, how are you doing, Ben? Anything you want to talk about?
I gotta go back and say hi to Margaret. She said hi, gang. So we got to recognize her post. Hi, Margaret.
Absolutely. Hey, Margaret. Awesome to see you.
Yeah, but I posted that quote from the Kirkus Review. That last line of theirs, haunting and powerful. This dark little gem of a novel is an absolute must read.
Woo!
That's very nice.
Oh, Amy's got to be doing a happy dance, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and I think she had a short story in a couple of anthologies for us. At least one anthology.
Oh, agree. Yeah. She's done a couple of things with us. And she's a great editor as well. We've always gotten really great feedback on folks who worked with her. So and a super awesome person. Which for some reason is actually important to us. Talking about our core team, like we do talk about, like, well, that guy was kind of a jerk or a jackass. Like, I don't know. Well, it's true. So anyway, we do that. Yeah, we admittedly we are those people. We do take that into consideration. So, I did get pinged over the last week about, I don't know if you saw this, Ben. Small press distributors folded. So Small Press Distributors is a distributor. I think they were affiliated with Simon and Schuster. I'm not quite sure. And they like all of a sudden turned around and said, "Okay, we're done. We're out of business." And they left all the small presses that they represented high and dry. Yeah, it's pretty wild. I've seen posts from some of the presses talking about, like, they started Kickstarter campaigns because now they can't get the royalties from their distributor, and because they didn't leave anyone as a main contact. They just said, "Oh, well, not our problem anymore. We don't exist. Okay, Simon and Schuster, you deal with it." And like that was it. And Simon and Schuster didn't leave a contact for it either. So a few folks really kindly reached out to me and said, "Oh my gosh, does this impact you guys?" To be clear, it does not impact us at all. We're not through Small Press distribution. We're actually through Small Press United, but I'd say 99% of our interactions are actually with IPG. And IPG is the 3rd largest distributor in North America. And they have not made any insinuation that they're going to go anywhere, at least as far as I'm aware. So, so the only way that I could see this impacting us is if some of those other presses decide to bolt over to Small Press United. But even then, I don't know why that would really impact us directly. To be honest, I just feel really bad for those small presses and for the authors and the editors and everyone behind the scenes, because if they're anything like us, I mean, you're putting your heart and soul into it. You know, you're working your tushy off, and so all of a sudden have the main company that ensures that your stories are getting out to the public go, "I'm out," you know,
with no warning.
With no warning.
Yeah.
Yep. And if you go to their site, it's now just a page that says basically, like, "We went out of business. Good luck with that. Ciao." I mean, obviously I'm paraphrasing, but seriously, that's the gist of it. And oh my gosh, I don't know. Rod, what do you think? Like, if have you ever been through anything like that?
Honestly, I've had some technical difficulty. I popped on here. I have no idea what you're talking about. So
No worries. So what I'm talking about is the fact that
the whole time.
Well, Ben, then why don't you explain to him what I'm talking about, and you tell us your thoughts?
Yeah, the distributor just went out of business and didn't leave a forwarding address.
Oh,
Left a
Mhm.
lot of small presses high and dry with their writers expecting royalties that may or may not be on the way.
makes me wonder if all these small presses could somehow unite and create their own distributorship. Is that even possible? I don't know.
No, so how it works is there are, like, in reality, I think there's maybe 4 or 5 major distributors, and then they have, similar to presses or publishers, they have the equivalent of like an imprint, right?
Mhm.
So like we're with Small Press United, which is actually a subsidiary of IPG,
Mhm.
although we actually have more. I don't think I've actually ever interacted other than with when we first signed a contract with Small Press United, and I actually think technically now we're actually with IPG,
Mhm.
because I renegotiated the end of last year, but it's because it has to do with uh how you are acknowledged within the industry, meaning your distribution. And
Mhm.
so an example would be like Baker and Taylor is the only distributor for libraries and schools. But the
Mhm.
reality is, it's more like a warehouse, right? So they work with IPG and they work with uh, Ingram and a couple of other major players to obtain the books, to have them available in the warehouse that is Baker and Taylor.
Mhm.
But they don't necessarily, and they control those relationships with those libraries and those schools, but they don't actually necessarily have a sales force going out there and representing all those books, right?
Oh, I'm curious. IPG, is that a strong, large enough company that it could perhaps take on the publishers that were let down by the other distributor?
Well, that's what we were. That's a great question. So, my guess is that a lot of these, well, a couple things are probably going to happen. One, a lot of these small publishers are going to go out of business. Some of them have already announced that they're out of business. Some have come forward and started Kickstarter campaigns because they just want to see if they can recover something so they don't go out of business.
Hmm.
But I think you're right. I think a lot of them, what they're going to do, if they haven't already, is they are going to go to like an IPG or some other distributor and see if they'll get picked up. And I mean, honestly, that's hard because um, their greatest likelihood of getting picked up, excuse me, to your point, I think is uh, Small Press United, that we're with, or
Hmm.
that we were with, because I think that, like I said, now I think we are actually with IPG.
Uh-huh.
Um, but they all have rules. Like you
Hmm.
have to make a certain amount of gross revenue per year. Your books have to be at a certain quality.
Hmm.
Um, you basically have to already have uh, built a reputation. Blah blah blah. And everybody's got different rules. So I think it'll depend on where they are in their maturity um
Oh,
of existence, right?
uh-huh.
And
I'm a
some may
life.
just go
Well,
some may just go to Ingram Spark
mhm.
and use Ingram's distribution, but that'll only get you to Amazon
Hmm.
and to some online distribution. They don't have a relationship with like libraries and schools, and I
Hmm.
don't believe they have an international arm. And that's why a lot of times, and they don't have a sales team behind them. So
Hmm.
that's why you'll go to the IPGs.
Oh, well,
Mhm.
I've been a lifetime entrepreneur. If I can't get in there, then I'll create my own.
Mhm.
So I just think that way.
Mhm.
But I wonder though, you said there's six distributors primarily.
Mhm.
I know nothing of that end of the business. Is it even possible to create your own distributorship?
I mean, yeah, how most authors do it, and it's usually an author that does it, not necessarily starting off as a press.
Mhm.
they'll just build a following online.
Oh,
And
because
then, sorry, go
uh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. I don't mean I've had a heck of a day, but as it says on the screen there, rdgbooks.com. That's my company,
Right.
and if a writer wanted to, and if we both thought it made a lick of sense, well, yeah, I could publish anybody's book, but I'm going to go through the same steps that any self-published writer would, and I'm going to publish their book all bright and shiny and set it on a wall at Amazon with 100 million other books.
Hmm.
I have no sales force, no distribution, no way to help that writer really,
Hmm.
and my service would be pretty much useless.
Hmm.
So I can see the need for distributorship and a good strong sales force.
Hmm.
But if you took, I don't know how many were involved, but if you took 100 small presses, would they have the strength to create a distributorship from scratch? Like,
Right.
create a teeny tiny mini IPG. Is that too far in my imaginary entrepreneurial way of thinking? Am I going out in Never Land? Or is that something these poor presses could actually consider?
So I do know of presses that have done basically what you're describing. And what they do is they use Ingram Spark as a backbone.
Hmm.
And then they actually just basically get a bunch of people who are great at marketing and publicity,
Hmm.
and they just start spreading the word about their books, and they do more of a grassroots approach.
Uh-huh.
Again, though, they're not going to get in libraries. I mean, you literally cannot get your book in a library. You cannot get your book in a school. You cannot get into I believe international distribution is also quite limited because they won't talk to you unless you're with one of the big 4 or 5.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and but where I was going before was you build that following, and once you build that following and you've established yourself as a publisher, or you've established yourself as a great author, what happens is you end up getting uh, the bigger houses then seek you out, right? Because they want the success that you have, and you negotiate with them. Do you just get folded in to their larger house? Do you become a new imprint, right? So
Mhm.
if you go, I challenge you, go look up Simon and Schuster's site, go on
Mhm.
Penguin's site, and you'll see all these imprints. I mean, hundreds of them.
Uh-huh.
I want to say almost all of them were originally a small independent press.
Oh.
Almost all of them started off as indies that did really well. Whether they did really well, um, and again, this goes back to what's the goal, what are the objectives of that larger house, right? When Penguin acquired them, did they acquire them because they said, "Oh my gosh, these guys are selling a bajillion mysteries, and we want in that game," right?
Hmm.
Or did they sit down and say, "Oh my God, these guys are winning all these awards. This is really high quality work. We want their catalogs and we want their talent," right?
Hmm.
So that would be like the equivalent of like a St. Martin's or a Tor.
Hmm.
And they said, "Okay, we want this house under us." And then if all they really wanted was the IP, and when I say IP, that means intellectual properties. That's the stories, right?
Hmm.
If all they really wanted was the IP, unless whoever was behind the scenes understood how all this crap works, um, and they negotiated most nine I can't say 90% of the time because I don't know the actual percentage, but a lot of the time they just get rid of everyone from behind the scenes and they keep the catalog and they put their own people in, right?
Oh.
But then if the people behind the scenes were really they understood the game, right? Because in a lot of ways this is just a business game.
Hmm.
They negotiated it so their people stayed in key roles, and they had certain levers that they could pull, so that they stayed. They got the power of that larger house behind them, and they were able to still influence what happens, so that the quality that brought them to that point where a larger house would actually even consider them stayed. Does that make sense? Because a lot of times, once that they get integrated into the bigger publisher, the things that made that that press or that house unique kind of goes down the toilet. So did all that, like, I just blathered on for like far too long.
I grasp as much as I am capable of grasping. Believe it or not, though, this company shuts its doors and there's a shockwave through the industry. That's actually happened in almost every industry I've ever worked in.
Oh,
One
yeah.
time or another, I've seen it. It is not uncommon.
Oh,
But it's a
no.
shame for little presses that are, way smaller than Running Wild Press. These little trying to make it presses. You're right. A lot of them are just closing their doors, right? That's a
Yep.
shame. That is a shame.
I actually had some authors reach out to me because their publisher specialized in, like, middle grade or young adult. And they were like, do you guys do this? And I said, honestly, it's just not our, like, I don't feel comfortable because we don't have the expertise to do that. If we had the expertise to do that, then I would say, yeah, sure. But part of what comes along with having the expertise is also, knowing where to spread the word about it, right? Knowing who to publicize with, knowing who to target. And, I mean, all of us are quite multifaceted, but as far as I know, we don't have anyone who's really super knowledgeable in those areas. So, but that's why. It's because their press said, I can't do this anymore. So, hey, Peter.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I've been trying to get on the call for the last 15 minutes. Ben finally opened the door for me. Thank you, sir.
All right. I need to double check. Well, I mean, I sent
around the block first.
Did you? Well, you needed a jog. It's all good, right? For the next one, I always update the StreamYard. So you'll get a fresh link anyway.
Okay.
So hopefully you won't have any problem. But
Is
that's
is
weird that we didn't have issues. Ben and I didn't have issues, but you guys did. That's really weird.
Is that poor new editor? I think you said her name was Britt. Is she doing the David Bowie Space Oddity out there somewhere?
I don't believe so. No. Nope. I don't
Showing
believe
my
so.
age, probably the audience is David Bowie who?
We still have 9 titles, I believe, that need editors and that we're slowly getting through it. Hey, Brittany, what was the story that you're working on now? I know you're still here, so that's why I figured I'd pick on you. In the meantime, Ben and Peter, what are you guys working on? Anything that you're like really psyched about? Or are you like, Lisa, I'm going to kill you? So, I mean, that's normal, but hey.
I'm still in the what is it? The breakdown, recovery, and the outdoors.
Oh, okay.
It's the good news is we have a way ahead, and we made it through the line edits, and now I've gone back and I'm writing it.
Okay.
I'm giving the characters some character,
All
so
right.
they don't come across like a grocery list.
Oh, got it. Understood.
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
That's the way ahead, and about 25% of the way through that process.
That's not bad.
And I got it'll go from about 368 pages. I imagine that it'll come in about 280, realistically.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of redundancy, and there's some. There were no iPods in 1972.
No. Are you sure?
Well, I'm taking them out. I don't know if they were there or not. Somebody time traveled on me, and I took them out.
Oh my God, that's
those portable
awesome.
8-track players, right?
Yeah. A Sony of my own.
I'm all like,
there you go, Rod. There's showing my age now.
there you go.
You had a Sony of your own on your hip.
I'm like, I was born in 1971, and I remember when 8-tracks came in. So that's yeah.
Yeah. That
Mhm.
would be. I'd have to check that. And
Yep.
I had to check car seats too. You wouldn't think about car seats, but
No, there was no car seats when we were little.
yeah, if they were out there, nobody used them.
Nope. It was like just a free for all. I remember
Yeah.
banging into the back of the front seat, which probably explains a lot. But it was like someone hitting a brake too far.
A good metal dashboard.
Mm-hmm. Yep. How about you, Peter?
Um,
Sorry.
no, I'm much more unfortunately grounded than Ben is right now. I'm kind of envious because Ben's got his story going on so well. But my characters are starting to talk to me too, so I'm finding idiosyncrasies and interesting things about them that is adding flavor and texture to the story. It's
Nice.
moving along at a glacier pace, but that's pretty much all the time I got right now.
Meh.
So, but it's coming along, and I'm liking it. And things have finally quieted down around here, except for a project we've got going on. So I'm getting more stuff done at night. So I'm really happy about that.
Very cool. Very cool.
Mhm.
How about you, Rod? I know you're working on 2 pieces.
Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. Close enough to being finished to say the author, Leonard Appa, he's working on something that I think is going to be the equivalent of dropping a stick of dynamite in the writing world.
Oh,
He's going to wake everybody up. This story rocks, and 50 years from now, people will be talking about it. Now, I'm not exaggerating at all. This man has a fantastic imagination. He's a great writer, one of the most dedicated writers I've ever known. It doesn't matter what I throw at him as an editor, he bats it back. You ever seen a pitcher on the mound and that ball comes right back at him? Well, that's me. I mean, Leonard doesn't miss a step. Boy, he's great. And I don't know what they compare it to, but just out of my little imagination, Adam West, Batman, big successful little series. What was it, 50 years ago? And we can all visualize it right now.
Well, those of us who were around, but yeah.
Yeah, I bet there's even young kids that know who Batman is.
Well, they don't know who Adam West is.
Yeah,
they know who Batman is.
I bet they remember the Joker and the Penguin. But at any rate, the story that Mr. Appa is writing is going to have that kind of stick to the world thing. I don't know what you call it, cultural. I don't know, but the man has just found a niche that is almost universal in my opinion. I mean, who am I? But I mean, I can't imagine somebody reading the first 20 pages and not being able to finish the book. I think if you are a very nonfiction reader, you don't read that silly fiction.
Right.
You pick up his book, you're going to love it anyway. I mean, so I have no idea when it'll be released. There's a lot of process in it that I don't really know. But I want to send out praises to Leonard Appa, kicking butt. And I'm not even sure, Lisa, if I should say the title of the book yet.
Sure. Why not?
Introducing The Scarlet Scrapper.
Yeah.
Freaking awesome book. I go back and read it just because it's fun to read. I'm not even editing it anymore. I'm just reading the heck out of it because it's fun.
Yeah. There you go. That's awesome. That is awesome. Very cool.
I have absolutely no enthusiasm for my job whatsoever.
Yeah, none. Absolutely none. Nope. And Brittany, so Brittany reminded me, so she is now working on a memoir. It's Since You Weren't There and Other Memories, and she is loving it. So that, honestly, guys, it means the world that your editor loves what they're working on. I mean, seriously, right? I mean, you bring a whole nother level of passion and engagement to the story compared to like if someone said to you, here, you got to work on this. I know it's shitty. Good luck. Right? It's like, what? But handing off something that you can actually like sink your teeth into, that's so much fun. So much fun. Yeah, and I'm working on an epic fantasy, and she just sent me a note saying she's done her edits, so I'm gonna go through my second round. I'm working on a novel that's based in the mythology of Africa, of some, a subset of Africa. So I need to look at that this weekend. I finished the memoir that I'm avoiding talking about because as a hint, I have to go to Marvel, meaning Marvel Studios, to make sure that they will sign off on us putting out this memoir, more of like a cover your ass kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then once I have that sign off, then I'll be happy to talk about it. But it is a really fantastic memoir that I'm just honored that he was open to. Well, actually, he came to us on the recommendation of some friends, and some friends recommended him to me. So, but yeah, because in my opinion, he could have gone anywhere. And we've met a few times over coffee, and at one point he said, I picked you guys because my daughter told me to. Now, mind you, his daughter is not 5. Like, his daughter's like an adult, right? So I was like, oh, okay, But I'm really looking forward to us getting that to market. Like, that is going to be a blast. And I don't think I told you guys this. Joelle and I were looking at, like, so how many books are we publishing in 2024? How many are we publishing in 2025? And you're not allowed to kill me. 2024, 32 books between Running Wild and Rise. Peter, yes, I had the same reaction. And then I laughed hysterically, and I was like, oh my God, that's why all of us are like, okay, now what? Okay, now we have to do, now what do we have to do? Okay, now we have to do this. Like, I was like, oh my God. 2025, so that's 2024. So far, again, now remember, we have to have our books into IPG about 12 months before the publication date. And we're currently in April. With that in mind, we already have 42 books set for 2025.
Wow.
So, and we still have 9 more that we need to assign editors to. So, I think we're all on crack. I mean, we're doing outstanding work as we keep proving, right? Over and over again. Our authors are freaking awesome. I mean, we are really blessed to have incredible editors and incredible authors and incredible people behind the scenes just rocking out the house. Still, holy shit, guys. That's a lot. And like, for context, we normally only published like, it was like 15 to 20, 15 books per house. And when the leadership team met earlier this year, we agreed we'd scale it back to 10 per house, because we really need to have a greater focus on not just the storytelling, but also like all of the marketing and publicity and like getting the word out and all that. And that takes just as much work, if not more, than, really developing the stories and getting them to market. So, yeah. I'm sorry, Rod. I think, Peter, you were going to say something too. No? Oh, okay.
Well, I was going to respond real quickly to 2 things you said. The first one would be hard to believe, but I'll say it anyway. Some people would say I'm like a 5-year-old, but like the daughter of the gentleman you were speaking of earlier, I'm a huge fan of Running Wild Press. Talk about it on social media all the time. I think it's a great press. And then the second thing I want to respond to is, let's say 2029 will be a banner year when you put out 150 novels. You'll get there, I bet, by then.
Oh, usually. We're already, I think, officially, let me see. You mean in that year we put out 150?
Yes.
You're on crack.
No, I'm just a believer. And I
You're
know
crazy.
the talent. I've seen some of the talent in Running Wild Press. The only thing that'll hold you back is if you don't want to go there. If
Oh
you do want
no.
to go there, you'll make it easily. I
I
believe
gotta
in you guys. Ah,
we are so honored to have so many incredibly talented people, uh authors, editors, strategists, marketers, product managers, I mean, you name it, who are just phenomenal. And I mean, and I'm just thankful we started with Ben and Peter, or Peter and Ben. You know, Peter, I think you need an exclamation point at the end of your name. Just saying. I think
Maybe a question mark. Maybe a question mark.
I mean, you're like the origins, right? Like you're the starters. Like we wouldn't be where we are today without you guys. And we wouldn't be who we are now. I mean, but just so much belief and strength and talent and incredible passion and ability, and I mean everything. Our team is just phenomenal. But for context, officially in our bookshop.org page, there are 103 books that are currently available through Running Wild and Rise on bookshop.org. And so that's takes you from 2016, or yeah, that's right, 2016 to now.
Wow.
Yeah. So every once in a while I want to say, you know, there's a reason why we're tired. We are tired, but I'm not actually tired. It's just more of a, okay, now let's go do this. Now let's go do this. And it's, you know, like figuring out what, you know, what's going to keep people pumping. You know what I mean? Like what's going to keep everybody excited from behind the scenes, as well as like those who are fans and readers, you know. I don't know. So anyway, I also had a long day, which is why I'm drinking wine.
Oh.
Which both Ben and Peter have experienced previously. And thankfully, I don't do this very often, at least not during a live stream, but it was a day. So anyway, and boy, can I feel my hip. Anyway, actually, interestingly, I don't know, Peter, do you want to talk about like your starting days with Running Wild and Ben, and like how we found you guys and leading up to now?
Sure. Well, we met at the Writers Conference in Tampa in 2018. I walked up and I said, I've got this. I had my speech, my 2-minute elevator, 30-second elevator speech. He said, sure, send it my way. I'm like, awesome. I got somebody might read it, somebody might publish it, you know, and you accepted it and published it, everything like that. And I don't know, like 6 months, maybe a year and a half later, something like that. He's like, you want to be an editor? And I'm like, sure. Sounds awesome to me. He said, okay, pick a book. Here you go. I'm like, okay, how do I do this? And my first author was Terry Hawkins, who is such a character.
Oh, we love Terry.
He wanted to call every week, and I'm like, I'm not making enough progress every week to talk to you via Zoom call. So finally, we toned that down, and his work was really interesting, really exciting. Required a lot of editing, a lot of formatting work, and everything like that, which is just, you know, it was what it was.
It's all good.
But it's a collection of short stories. It did very well. I mean, he's still pitching it from time to time.
Wasn't it named?
And we just kind of went from there. I just get in a book and get another one.
Wasn't Terry's book named, another one that was named one of the best of the year? I know it got a starred review.
The one that we did?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he got a starred Kirkus review. It was Turing's Graveyard was the name of it.
Yeah, I need to look this up now. I'm pretty sure Turing got named among the best of the year.
He was a finalist for Book of the Year. Earned starred Kirkus review. And one other thing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, he well, both of you rocked it. I mean, seriously. Okay, I found it. Yep, starred review.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. Extraordinary stories that will make readers laugh, shiver, or perhaps both.
Yeah, the title story was really interesting in the way he approached it, and I'm not going to give away any of it, but I do recommend reading it because it's got a great twist at the end, and it's worth reading. It's very very descriptive, very visual. You really get into the character's head. He does a really good job.
And by the way, Terry was the original. He basically created Yale Writers Conference.
Right.
So
he was a trip to work with.
Oh my God. Every once in a while I hear from him, and I love Terry so much. He is just a total character. Like, yeah, there's so much that you have to just say, okay, I'm just going to sit here and listen to you babble for a while because you're just sort of all kinds of awesome. So, yep. How about you, Ben? How did you get roped into this crap?
He's on crack.
We've talked about it before. It was I had a long neo-narrative poem laying around, and I said, that's based on a good character. I got to submit that somewhere. And so submitted it to you with the novella, but of course it was in a poem format. But you accepted it, and then that's where I emailed you and said, "Are you sure?"
Yeah, I remember that.
And you said, "Yes. Why are you bothering me?"
That is quite possible. Yes.
Okay. But then I don't know if we did Triggerfish 1-2 before I was editing or I was editing right after. Maybe
after.
That's what
I think it was after. Yeah.
Yeah, because Triggerfish 1-2, Scarecrow Angel, and I think the leg were I sent those to you as a collection, and you said, "Well, do you have one more?" Because we wanted the book to be bigger.
Yeah.
And actually, it was good that you asked that because I was working on another piece in a play format. But I said, well, I can change that from a play into a poem. And that's when Recon Trilogy +1 came together. +1 was the one I was working on as a play. It was that +1. But then
because we said Recon Trilogy 4
right after that, and I think my first one was with the Faith Machine with Tone Milazzo.
Tone, yeah.
And then it was either he was first or Legendary was first. Oh, what was her name? The author.
I know who you're talking about. Yeah. Actually, and they were both amazing.
Yeah. And with Tone, he was kind of skeptical of having an editor because he had it worked on, and he said, well, find what you can, but you're not gonna find anything. So I said, okay, I will.
And he did.
Yeah, and I remember the one thing that we had discussion about was he was putting together a group of psychics, and but they were traveling one place and then another, then back to someplace in between. So I pointed out that we can make this more linear if you just have them stop there on the way. It's a structural issue, but he said, "Oh, you found something." I said, "Yes, I did."
So Legendary was by Amelia Kibbe.
Amelia Kibbe, yes, of course.
And to this day, she wants to kill me because I'm the one who convinced her to write Legendary. And it actually got an amazing Kirkus review. A rousing. Yeah, I mean, it's a fabulous story. They said it was a rousing story of love and sacrifice. I still think it belongs in like pop culture history. Like it just because it's an amazing combination of like pop culture fiction, historic fiction, and literary. And so you kind of like, you just keep going and going and going, right? I mean, it's just such a fun story with depth. But yeah, she wants to kill me for 1,000 reasons. And I've earned every one, so this is not a complaint. Just saying. But yeah, so Ben, actually both Ben and Peter, so the behind the scenes look, So I'm sitting here because I actually started Running Wild with a friend of mine, Jade Blackwater. And Jade, myself, and her husband met up in like a celebratory. We've been around for a year. Yay, we made it this long. And I said, well, I was thinking maybe we should expand this because at that point we were only doing the anthologies, and we had published a book of mine as like the dummy test, right? Like, will this work kind of thing. And they came around and said to me, basically, we don't want to do this anymore. We want to refocus on our own shit. Which, don't be surprised the number of times I've heard this. And again, this is not a complaint because all these people are brilliant, and you need to focus on your own work. So I'm not. But anyway, so I was like, okay, all good. So I just kept pounding away, and I recognized the quality of both Peter and Ben from both an editorial perspective as well as an authorial perspective. And that's why I asked them if they would be my first editors to join our troupe. And by the way, they're the only guys I asked. I didn't ask anybody else. And so, which means I basically sat in my living room, probably with like a shot of gin, going, okay, if they say no, I need to figure some stuff out. But obviously they did not. And so they are as much Running Wild as I am, in my opinion. So I just thought it was important for you guys to share your stories. So Caroline says, hey Lisa, how do I get reviewed by Kirkus for Terror? Caroline, let's talk on the side because I'm pretty sure I already submitted you to get a Kirkus review, but and so anyone who's watching knows we actually submit all of our books to all of the major reviews. And the truth is you can't control who's gonna actually review you and who's not. So sometimes we get a lot of response, and sometimes we don't get very much at all. So it totally depends. But that's the broad stroke conversation, Caroline. So Rod, how did you get roped into all this mess?
Well, as always, I'm not as fascinating as these other two gentlemen, but I was out in an alley in the middle of a thunderstorm. I was soaking drenched wet, and I saw a door ajar. I crept through the door, and Lisa handed me a warm, soft towel, and she said, I have no idea why, but I think I'll give you a chance. So here I am.
And that is all metaphor. So if it was not all in metaphor,
I get a warm dry towel.
You just went for a swim and came up and went, what the hell? Planet Eon. This was not supposed to happen. But no, seriously. So how did you become one of our amazing editors?
Well, I don't know about the amazing, but I know I don't deserve to be here. I mean, God, you guys are in a completely different class. But I work hard and I do the best I can. And I think I initially started out just watching your show and loving it. And then I had the immense honor of Ben working with me on a short story for Running Wild Anthology 7. And I learned so much from working with you, Ben. I am so grateful for you taking a chance and believing my little story was worth it. Freaking awesome. And of course, Lisa, my goodness, you've been so supportive and kind to me all along since day one. And it really, you say it all the time, but let me tell the audience, man, they do. They treat you like family, better than my family. They don't even care. They don't know if I'm a writer or, a drunk sitting in a bar. They don't care. Running Wild Press is run like a real family where they really care about each other. And God, just to be able to say I'm part of it is a real honor. It's a thrill. It really is. And then one day I was watching the show and Lisa was talking about how not just anybody can roll in and be an editor. You've got to pass a pretty important test. And, being a Scorpio, being an entrepreneur, being a jerk, whatever it is I am, I thought, hey Lisa, can I take that test? And by some miracle, I scraped by and passed. And then I had the great honor, my very first novel to work on with Running Wild Press was with actually a fantastic poet, Anatoly Molotkov.
Oh yeah.
And he has an upcoming novel called A Slight Curve that'll be coming out. I'm afraid I don't know when. And what a fantastic way to start with such a fine writer and a really cool story. And again, I've worked in all kinds of places from, digging a ditch to a corporate office in a high rise building. I've never felt so welcome and never felt like a real part of the team the way I do with Running Wild Press. So, yeah, audience, if you want to be a part of something special and you've got any talent at all, give it a try. If she says no, you don't lose anything, So anyway, I went on too long. You got to be careful asking me questions.
No, that's all good. It's all good. So Caroline says, thank God you all did. All great editors and writers, the best. I agree. Absolutely. So for anybody who is watching, oh my God, we're almost done. All right, you guys have all of 4 minutes, and you can ask Zan again whatever the hell you want, and we will be more than happy to respond. Now, if you are watching this and it is not Thursday between 5 and 6 p.m. Pacific time or 8 and 9 p.m. Eastern time, it's all good, because we actually do check the comment section during the week to see if there are any additional comments, and we are sure to respond to those questions in the subsequent week. So with that, I don't know, guys, is there anything else that you want to talk about or bring forward?
I'd like to say real quickly, the second novel I'm working on is with a very busy author, and it's going pretty slow as far as the time it takes to get it done.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because either one isn't working. It's just that she has a very busy life, and it might take her 2 weeks to get back with me, where another author can do it in 2 days. That's the only reason it's going slow. However, she's one of the best writers I've ever seen. She's got amazing talent as a writer and a great, fantastic imagination.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure I say her name right. Regina O'Melveny.
Okay.
And her upcoming novel, A Sea Cure.
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe I have such amazing luck to work with such great authors. And again, I truly, truly believe in these novels. These are going to be big hits. They're going to be very successful. I really believe in them. Fantastic talent. And I can say without a doubt, I think I'm a fairly good writer, but Regina is 10 times the writer I am. She has a way with words, sentence structure, and storytelling. I think it puts her in the upper class of writers. She don't know it yet, but boy, the world has got a really sweet surprise coming from Running Wild Press. It's going to be a really big deal. So I wanted to mention her because she deserves for people to know she's out there.
Well, thank you, Rod. That's awesome. And to close this out, all right. First Peter, then Ben, then Rod. What are you working on now personally?
I'm working on a political novel that's going to turn. It's a very, very interesting twist at the end. I'm hoping maybe 2/3 towards the end of the story. That it's out of my normal oeuvre, but it's an interesting story. I'm liking the characters. And I'm separating, what I know about politics versus what I know about story, and that's what's coming together the best. It's be able to parse out different situations. So this is what I've been working on for a while now. But like I said, it's starting to get some traction going with the characters, and just fighting and choosing things that aren't the norm, that aren't stereotypical. So I can play with those surprises as well. So it's coming along well. I'm not going to reveal the title because it's not. I'm still in the second draft phase. So it's coming along though. It's going to be really good when it's done. Guaranteed.
Excellent.
I don't
Excellent.
too much.
How about you, Ben?
Excuse me.
Typing up a couple of collections from last summer, one called Petty Days and one called Monticello, which is a sequel to Conley Bottom. And then just finished a collection a couple of weeks ago called Bazooka Joe, Fortunes and Philosophies. and then another collection for Easter called Passed Over. And that one's all set to go to the banned book list right away. So
Man, I felt
that's
that
where
in
the
my
money
chocolate
is, so it's
Easter
okay.
bunny. I felt that in my chocolate Easter bunny.
Yes. Yes. I may have written about your chocolate Easter bunny.
You may have.
Among other things.
Oh my gosh. And how about you, Rod? What are you personally working on right now?
I'm always writing stories. Some are short stories, some are novels. I usually work on at least 2 projects at a time. I'm editing the 2 books that I've mentioned tonight. Looking to take on a 3rd book. Just staying busy. I guess the hardest job I have is when I get in that 15th hour, it gets very hard to stay awake and stay functional and stay on a par that is worthy of the writers I'm working with. Because after a while, I get so tired, it's like, thunk, thunk, I don't know what I'm doing, and the writers deserve better than that. So I'm just doing the very best I can to stay on track and do all the things I do and do them well. And like everybody, it's tax time. Yay.
Yeah. Yep.
And that's a ton of extra work.
Yep. Totally. Totally. And with that, I just want to thank everybody again, Caroline, Margaret. Oh my gosh, we had so many amazing people. Brittany, you guys are all absolutely fantastic. We love every single one of you, and we look forward to seeing you next week. So with that, thanks, guys. See you soon.